Esteemed colleagues, dear friends.
Dear colleagues, we start our last briefing for today, and now we will discuss how to secure IDPs' right to vote. And we have Mykova Malomuzh, head of Ukrainian civil and political movement for the future of Ukraine. Oksana Yermyshyna, head of an NGO organization of IDPs issues, and Maryna Stavniychuk, head of NGO to Democracy Through Law Board. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm happy that you joined to discussion of this important issue. For me, this is a sensitive issue because I'm an IDP from Donetsk, and the fact that we are deprived from our right to vote, this is absolutely unfair issue. Probably you may think that this press conference just 25 days prior to elections, it's useless, but I believe that as soon as the biggest number of people got involved, and we probably will be provided with the right to vote. Each my interview always ends with the question whether the IDPs from Donbass and Crimea should be given the right to vote. And the answer is simple: we are citizens of Ukraine and we should enjoy the right of vote. Quite often explanations why IDPs from Donbass should not have right to vote. All those explanations only demonstrate that all the problems existing here could be overcome this or that way. There are several draft laws in Verkhovna Rada which had been registered in Verkhovna Rada since August this year. Unfortunately, delays with the passage of that laws resulted in that fact of discrimination which I mentioned. Thus, Ukrainian policy in this issue conflicts with the international standards. For me, stigmatization of IDPs remains an everyday challenge. Some time ago, in September last year, I was invited to the UNDP conference devoted to stigmatization of IDPs, like problems with accommodation, like with impossibility to find jobs. It stigmatizes people, but at that time, in September last year, this was the problem of another, of different scale, when the discrimination happened at individual level. But as of today, this turned to be a huge discrimination of more than 1.5 million people due to the place of residence or due to the place of origin. And that's why we gathered this press conference to point out to this violation of the rights of citizens of Ukraine. Today, we IDPs are deprived from our right to vote, but tomorrow there might be anybody. We have been IDPs for 18 months. We have been residing in new communities for 18 months, and we wish to integrate into those communities. Probably some people hope to go back to Donetsk. Some people like me quit from Donetsk for forever. Some people hope to come back. President of Ukraine Poroshenko assumed that this conflict may last for 10 years, and all of us should have possibility to enjoy our right to vote during all those years. For us, this possibility to participate in the life of new communities should be ensured. Sometimes the issue of IDPs' participation in local life was even brought to Verkhovna Rada, and unfortunately only 2 MPs assisted this hearing. Why I'm an IDP, I every day ask myself a question: how can I participate in everyday life of Ukraine? Since we left our native territories, we have the right to enjoy our right in the rest of Ukrainian territory. Sometimes I am asked, do not you feel shame for those people in Donbass? Why I should feel shame for other people? Yeah, I live now in new community, and I feel no shame for other people. Nobody feels shame to me for the bad status of our roads, for that drunk people whom we meet in the streets. Nobody feels shame to me. So I think that we should include patriots of Ukraine to Ukrainian society and allow them to vote in local elections. The international community also expressed its opinion on this issue, and the Ombudsman of Ukraine expressed her opinion in favor of IDPs' right. This ignorance of the rights of people is impossible for democratic state. Let's make pause, think it over again, and decide how 1.5 million people could be prevented from discriminating their right to vote, and how we can make sure that they feel themselves part of the new communities.
I would like to draw attention to the fact that the Ukrainian Association of the Communities of Ukraine Coordination Council of these civil servants, servicemen and military units actively supports our initiative to grant the right to IDPs, in fact those people who have several times suffered, to have broad rights guaranteed by the state. When we are talking about the fact that indeed the state and the persons who bear the high responsibility before the people, they have to set up a commission which would ensure safety and security, economic and political protection of the rights, everyone to self-realization. This is the highest value guaranteed by the Constitution. In fact, we are killing, or we are losing the Crimea, and a lot of people. We have about 2 million people who have to live, let's say, almost in poverty. And we are talking about the IDPs from the Donbass area, from the Crimea. So the high mission and the duty of the state, especially of the top officials, President of Ukraine, the government, the Verkhovna Rada and the presidential administration, it's not being done now. Not because we do not have enough resources. 60% of the economy is now in the shadow sector. We are empowered by 30%, but according to the USA data from the CIA and FBI, from the European, from MI6, other structures of the foreign intelligences. They say that $40 billion were taken away from Ukraine to some other countries. And those are the money which could be used to create new jobs, provide accommodation for our IDPs, to create new sectors in the economy, social welfare and protection. And again, we are talking about the new shadow clans where the money is being stolen and taken away from this country. This is not my personal conclusion. Vice President Biden of the United States mentioned that in very straight words that there is a kind of stealing takes place and the country is being robbed. And we are talking about those deprived persons, deprived of their housing and income. And they say that the country doesn't take care of the IDPs. And they believe those people to be something which they do not need at all. They are in the way of their image or something like that. And there are some big problems here. That's why we are going to, in according to international law, Declaration of Human Rights, which guarantees to everyone the right, including the refugees or IDPs, the right to life, to health and a decent existence, but also the right to be elected, to elect and be elected. This is this natural right to every person guaranteed by United Nations, European Convention, which we actually also fixed in our constitution in Ukraine. But in reality, our colleagues are deprived of their rights, and we're not talking about the communities. They are members of our big community, and they actually, and this gives us the prospect for the existence of our country, of the society, to ensure our defense capability, and to reach another level of the standards of living, economic standards, etc. There is no other way out of the situation. And we actually are talking about those people who badly need their jobs, the social protection, the money to buy the food for their children, for themselves, and let's give them the right, constitutional right to elect, to be elected. I believe we did a lot of work with the public organization, with the different studies and the coalition, and we actually came up with a model how we can regulate this in a fast manner, but we need the political will, the mechanism to implement that, either through the Verkhovna Rada or President of Ukraine, with the support of international organizations like UN, PACE, or some other international organization. All this can force the Verkhovna Rada, the guarantor of our constitutional president, to work accordingly and to act accordingly, to implement their commitments and to adopt those laws which will allow our IDPs to realize their rights. There are all the necessary prerequisites, and this actually petition has been signed by millions and millions of people in the public organizations who are actually stand for the preservation of different rights of the people. But we are talking about the colleagues who were united and are prepared to fulfill this function, and so we demand of President and Verkhovna Rada to fulfill their constitutional commitments, and not to say that this will take a decade. No, let's full efforts and do it within several days. We have to adopt the special laws through the Verkhovna Rada, and we actually demand very actively that because we believe that the failure to do something about that, or negligence in this specific area, will be tantamount to committing a crime. Thank you very much. Absolutely can echo the position of Mykova and my colleague and all those present here, that today, when adopting a law, the law of Ukraine on the local elections, they were both directly, indirectly, they discriminated more than 1.5 million citizens of Ukraine because, first of all, they blocking the mechanism which today is in existence exists in the legislation in Ukraine, first of all, in the law on the rights and freedoms of the IDPs, as well as the corresponding amendments in the law on this public register of the electorate, who, or which up to now, provide the right and possibility to the IDPs to take part in the election of the president, the MPs, and in the local elections. I may tell you that such an approach of legislators, first of all, on the part of the parliamentary majority who undertook the commitment and responsibility before the Ukrainian society, before each citizen of this country, to stick in or to observe their obligations. And this is something what they are doing is non-constitutional, doesn't meet the international commitments of Ukraine. The fact that when passing the law on the local elections, they did a special provision that whether they can sell or do not can sell during the local elections. Some of the provisions which are guaranteed and has been introduced already implemented during the parliamentary and presidential elections. I'm talking about the mechanism of voting by the citizens. This does not meet a number of the articles of the Constitution of Ukraine, 21, 22, 23, 24 articles, Article 38, 64, 68, article I'm talking about of the Constitution of Ukraine. This is absolutely serious violation. This is absolutely I would like to say that such an approach on the part of the legislators, not only do they do not meet the requirements of the Constitution of Ukraine, provision of Ukraine, but also the requirements of the international community. We are talking about the UN regulation adopted about the IDP back in 1998. More than 13 recommendations, different European organizations also regulate the issues of rights, freedoms, opportunities, and real mechanism of implementation, realization of the guaranteed rights of the IDPs in those countries which are participants of such very respected international organizations. I would like to say that all, without any exception, international documents oblige those countries who support this or who are the members of such international organizations to promote and to take necessary measures and bear responsibility for guaranteeing the rights of IDPs. Moreover, among those rights for such a category of persons, there is a special priority rights which mandatorily and its national and local levels should be provided and ensured by guaranteed by the state. I'm talking about the right to the ideas and speech. I'm talking about the right to participate in the elections both in the national and the local level, and not just to ensure guarantee this nominal, let's say, establishment or fixation in the law of such a right, but the international instruments actually oblige the country to provide the necessary mechanisms for that. You can see today that, in fact, on the one hand, the Ukrainian state declaring democracy, declaring protection rights and freedoms of person. In fact, in practice, resorts to discrimination of a huge number of people. In this specific case, 1.5 million IDPs, internally displaced persons of Ukraine, who were forced to abandon their place of residence due to the annexation of the Autonomous Republic of the Crimea, Sevastopol, and the military aggression in the Donbass area. I would like to say that all the public organizations which are today joined us in signing the open letter, which are going to deliver to the President of Ukraine today, and to the Speaker of Verkhovna Rada, to the heads or chairman of the deputy of the parliamentary factions, to the heads of the deputy groups. All those organizations believe, public organizations, that in this way the state not only discriminates all those citizens in this specific case, depriving them the right of participating in these elections, but the state continues the policy which unfortunately it pursues as regards the IDPs. When they do not give the opportunity to those people to adapt or adjust themselves in normal way into the Ukrainian society. In doing that, violating the whole spectrum of the let's say, the rights and attitudes regarding the rights of citizens of Ukraine. As Tim colleagues, I do understand that today, such a stance and position, I'm talking about it, this position was present not only the positions on the discrimination I'm talking about towards the IDP, deprived them of the right to participate in the elections. It was the case not only when they adopted the law on the local elections, but also in the process of preparation or amendments to be introduced into the bylaw. Today, they actually are engaged in a well-known political game when all the political factions represented in the parliament. They registered three actual draft laws which regulate and provide the possible opportunity for the IDPs, the first displaced persons, to participate in the elections. However, today the parliament and the president of Ukraine, without demonstrating their capability to do something, they actually block this opportunity in this stage, the opportunity to participate in the election to those citizens who are actually the first displaced persons. And that's why today, being in the very, taking consideration the shortage of time and in the fleeting nature of the elections, we have to say that Ukraine has to fulfill their international commitments undertaken in the sphere of the human rights. We have to say that Ukrainian authorities have to adhere or to observe the provisions of the Constitution of Ukraine, the laws of Ukraine. We mean that the whole spectrum of rights, freedoms, and guarantees of their realizations were actually given to those citizens when they adopted the law on the freedoms and rights of IDPs. And in this way, we think that our recommendation, our demand is as follows. No later than October the 6th, in other words, the first day of the next session of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, we have to put in entering the agenda for the voting the right to be provided to IDPs to participate in the local elections. We have very clear recommendations for the parliament and for the president how to do that. Today in the parliament there are three draft laws, and two of those it is impossible to apply due to the fact that they are outdated already. The time expired which was provided for the implementation of these procedures which they are talking about. The only draft law remained, which under number
number 2501A, which was drafted by representatives of different political parties represented in the parliament, with participation of professional experts, with participation of civic associations specializing in human rights, like Opora organization and other civil rights activists. That's why we believe that one of the options for Parliament, for the Parliament and the President, is to pass this draft law and to make it the law with all the provisions. If the Parliament lacks political will and has no political possibility to come to agreement about this draft law and pass it, then there is another option to repeal a provision of Article 30 of the law on election, which prevents IDPs from voting in current elections, and to provide in this very law the duty of the central authorities to ensure to make sure that IDPs will be able to vote as IDPs. Actually, I should like to underscore that unfortunately IDPs already missed the opportunity to put forward their candidates on these local elections, because the procedure of putting forward the candidates finished yesterday. That's why we would like to call the Parliament and the President to stop discriminating IDPs. We call them to put aside their political interests and to hear claims of these people, because they have they have a lot of problems, and we insist that these people should have the right to express their will at elections. Now we speak about those people who more than 18 months actually live in the territories of this or that communities. Their children win medals for those communities, like Oksana's children. They speak good Ukrainian language and they wish to be good citizens of Ukraine, and Ukrainian society has no right to deprive these people from dignity, should not have the right, should not deprive these people from their right to vote. And today our open letter, which is signed by 30 civic associations in the area of human rights protection, which are concerned with the economic development of the country. And by the way, this list of signatures is open. You may join. This letter will be forwarded to the President of Verkhovna Rada and to the UNDP rep office in Kiev, to OSCE coordinator rep office, to the EU delegation of Ukraine, to the European Council rep office in Ukraine, and it will appeal to them to establish European standards in Ukraine to ensure rights for IDPs to vote in these elections. Thank you for presentation, and now we start our Q&A session. Inter TV channel, my question to Ms. Maryna. How do you have your vision about the mechanism to ensure the IDP's right to vote? Or should it be the agreement for rent, for lease of premises, or official registration? Now there is a real mechanism which is a proof that an IDP is registered in the community. All of IDPs are registered in some communities, and the law requires that local governments should immediately issue registration to these IDPs and should re-register them with the periodicity of half a year. And there is an open information where those IDPs live. Also, local governments have all the possibilities to check whether IDPs really reside in those locations where they are registered. Currently, there is a technology, political technology, aimed at humiliating IDPs in Ukraine, because the status of IDPs in voting process is equal to the status of criminals remaining in penitentiary institutions. Those people who are in army service or who are in penitentiary institutions, they do not have the right to vote. This is general practice for all European countries. But when we speak about IDPs, refugees, the European standard requires that they should be given the right to vote. The mechanism existent in the law in terms of the freedom of movement, this mechanism is rather obsolete. It do not provide and it do not take into account all the options for people when they move to new places of residence. The President of Ukraine and Ukrainian legislation actually grants the right to vote to the new citizens of Ukraine. But those Ukrainian citizens who were born in Ukraine, who are Ukrainians by birth, they are deprived from the right to vote.
I understand why I asked this question regarding possible manipulation with the address of residence, and in our information, piece of information, we mentioned the address of residence. When I go to the rented apartment, first of all, I have to go to the registration place and change the place of my residence address. I mean, but there is one more thing in the draft law submitted to Verkhovna Rada. We mentioned 2101-1. It says that we can change the election address only in the case when there is a special document, registered document, where this actual address was issued no later than 6 months before the date of elections, including local elections. And in this way, we can actually prevent this kind of manipulation. According to this law, up to 6 months. We are talking about the stay in this or that territory. More than 6 months residence, we are talking about actual residence or living on this or that territory. The problem of the internal migration, the participation of the citizens in the elections, also in the local elections, is not a new problem. It's not only our national problems. Rather often in Ukraine, they give the example of Georgia. So I would like to tell you that in Georgia, when they took care of the implementation of the reforms, but had a lot of problems with Ossetia and Abkhazia because of IDPs, for a long time they did not provide their citizens to the right to participate in local elections. We are talking about the end of 1990s and the beginning of this millennium. For a long time now, under the pressure and the Commissioner on the Human Rights of Europe, Georgia has a special commitments which actually force this rather progressive and, in our point of view, rather advanced country, the developed country, has to provide to guarantee those rights to the people who are people in the category IDPs. Any other questions or clarifications? Yes, we have here. The women movement, Valentina Grado, very beautiful press conference, but an idea struck my mind when I just heard about this press conference. Of course, somebody has integrated, somebody is going to return back to their native places, and everybody wishes to be back at home. And Ukraine has to become a real home for everybody. But the question and my vision of this situation, if it's of interest to you, why Maryna, Mykova Malomuzh, and this nice lady Oksana, who also represents here more than 1.5 million IDPs. Why shouldn't we propose offer such a thing? Each polling station must have a representative box for Lugansk or Donetsk region. In this way, we could influence the elections there, because they are going to manipulate with your votes or your voices. And in this way, we could actually defend the Lugansk and Donetsk region. You know, there are two very important things here. Those measures, or let's say that the position by the votes of those IDPs, they are going to be manipulated by different black technologies, political technologies, the new elections. This is not a new idea, and the black technologies during the elections, they manipulate any votes, anybody's vote, not only IDPs. So this is the task for the law enforcement bodies and organizers of the elections to do everything possible to prevent the use or application of such technologies. If somebody does not want those people to participate in the elections because they can be manipulated, this is no ground. This cannot be a justification for the fact that the country does not guarantee or not protect constitutional rights of the citizens of Ukraine. Each and every one has to do their task. I talked yesterday to some of the progressive politologists here and said why they are going to, the black technologists are going to use them. So my opinion is either we build a normal democratic state where everybody has the equal rights, or, excuse me, those who are now the powers that be should pack their suitcases and just leave from here. And those who can do that, they have to be at the stern, so to say. No, you have the complete operational information, how the authorities give the instructions. Specifically, yesterday, one of the governors, the president of the party, our party, the colonel general, the doctors or the physicians or teachers, they say it's not desirable for you to join that party or be represented that party, and they already prepare. Those people who are doing that, they already bought a lot of different fancy cars, apartments, etc., etc. And this said the simple which the elections we had, everything has been already decided. We are given the list, we are given this different sums of money. It said, give us specific facts. I said the whole system is involved in that. We are talking special octopus. And it's clearly written how much we allocated for the presidential elections or local level or the parliamentary elections, whatever. If we do not ourselves be involved in that, like the ladies for the future of Ukraine, or if we do not extract control over those committees which exist, but it's better to achieve some systemic transformation. Otherwise, nothing is going to be changed. We are talking about the authorities, the members of the commission, oligarchate, who are united around the administrative and all other types of pressure. It is even worse than an octopus or whatever. And those people who would like to live an honest way of life, they have to unite their efforts. And then we become victorious both in the elections in the Donbass, Donetsk and Lugansk region. In future could return Crimea. But those people who would like to vote, they have to be given the right to vote under control by the government territory, and those who live on the territory occupied by the militants, they have to be given give them right to come here and vote here, and otherwise, it shouldn't be like that. They give them the chance to vote there, where we have the adversary regimes in Ukraine. I would like to add a bit This is a personal touch. Regarding manipulation, for a long time I've been hearing that they are going to manipulate with our votes, and we are going to torpedo the progress of elections. Well, I know that in our most populated regions, if you take the figures, you'll understand that our share is between one. We are talking about overpopulated. We are not talking about underpopulated regions. So our share is 1 to 5.9%. So whatever they try to manipulate our votes, this number, the small number of people will not be tangible, will not change the picture. But what we see, like the absolutely corrupted militia or oligarchs, when they brought here the military, the Russian troops to my native city, and when people carrying the Kalashnikov submachine guns, they actually captured the whole city and they went unpunished. And when they took and brought by hand to the offices to those to local authorities, so to say, but there are quite a few. But I'm talking about those people who are going to take part in the election. I'm talking about those people who are very specific regarding the local authorities. Those people will determine whether this region will be a free and Ukrainian region, or this is going to be a region where the Chechnya soldiers shooting all over and occupied by the Russian troops. I have a short remark to Mykova Malomuzh. Could you please say a few words? Did you hear about the International Organization report regarding the latest elections? It seems that the Ukraine paid to them. Yes, I heard about that report, but I know the real situation. In those international organizations I participated, continuously, both in the United States and European Union and other structures, where the number one persons in those countries, not observers, who really know the situation for sure. The managers of the special services of the first level, they know the situation, they know the real, not the fake situation. So we know the whole model of the actions here of everyone, of each district, each region, each member of the committee or commission. If somebody stated something, we shouldn't say that this is true. I'm talking about the mayor of the city of Kiev, and everybody says 5.9 billion for what? Just to bribe somebody, some structures who are going to support them. And the same is true about the whole system. So we have the policy of the double standards, Even international organizations recognize this as kind of positive process. So let us not use the non-real situation or dishonest approaches, and we should stop to deceive each other. We are talking about those officials who manipulate the public thought, and they offer us a lot of fake things.
We are very much disillusioned. A week or 2 weeks ago, the leaders of international organizations, leaders of the Congress, the Senate in the United States point out to systemic corruption. Mr. Biden, Ambassador Pyatt mentioned about huge corruption in Ukraine. Let us speak about real things existent in Ukraine. If we try to point out that somebody supported us in the past, that's one thing. But today, but I am speaking about what's going on today. Answering the question about the quality of the data and the quality of the procedure to elections, if Verkhovna Rada and the President won't introduce any changes about changes to the voting legislation, election legislation. Today, this will be one of the most important claims to Ukraine about elections. As of today, we have intermediary reports about local elections produced by local organizations which cooperate with the international community. For example, Opora published a report, interim report about necessity to change this situation and to grant the right to vote, actual right to vote to IDPs. OSCE, the Council of Europe, may produce report on elections sometime later, pointing out that IDPs were deprived from the right. We should not wait for this. We should today think how to allow 1.5 million of Ukrainian citizens who are internally displaced persons who are forced to leave their permanent places of residence. We should ensure their right. And this will allow us to reach reconciliation inside the society and ensure that Ukraine is the country with the rule of law. I'm Olga Kurnosova. I'm an IDP from Russia. Excuse me, please, I will speak Russian. Ms. Oksana, I understand your feelings. As a person having Russian citizenship, I understand your emotions and I understand your feelings. My question is a bit different. You all know the difficulties, how it the difficulties existent for IDPs from displaced persons from Russia to get citizens, unlike some special figures like Maria Gaidar. Other people, despite the fact that we are great supporters of Ukraine, despite the fact that our relatives fight in the east on the Ukrainian side. I am shocked that we do not have our constitutional sites. Why I have mentioned Maria Gaidar? Because now she has the right to vote in these local elections, while she has got Ukrainian citizenship only less than 6 months ago. That's why I would like to ask whether are you going to appeal to the European Court about infringed right to vote for IDPs. Several NGOs dealing with legal assistance to IDPs are so desperate in their expectations as to Ukrainian justice system. And now they are drafting claim to the European Court. As a legal expert, I would like to come back to the topic of our press conference, and I may predict that many citizens of Ukraine, many IDPs might appeal to the European Court in case Verkhovna Rada does not provide them with the actual right to vote, and Ukraine won't be possible to prevent this. For me, it is absolutely clear that those lawyers who those lawyers who are devoted protectors, who are devoted protectors of human rights, who are devoted agents on human rights, they will assist the IDPs in filing such claims to the European Court. Actually, we have just several days left to local elections, and now we call to Ukrainian Parliament, to the President of Ukraine, that they should ensure the right of IDPs to vote, just as this right is ensured to other citizens. Of course, these people are already deprived from the right to put forward their candidates at these elections, but do not deprive them from the right to vote and thus to participate in the business, or to participate in activities of local communities. Thank you very much. Our working day is over. Thank you.